You just got home from a long day, so you kick back and open Netflix to watch your favorite show. You frantically search to find it. But wait, where is it? You check your laptop and find the show has been removed from Netflix and moved to a different service. Many people have this exact same frustration with streaming services. It feels like every company with a remotely popular show has started their own streaming service now. But why? Today we are going to talk about the rise and fall of streaming services and how their greedy money-making schemes led to their own demise. Streaming services rose with Netflix in the late 2000s as a cheaper and easier way of consuming media.
There's a movie waiting for you at home. Netflix.
This concept took the world by storm as the future set to take over cable. Anything you could imagine that was popular at the time, from The Office all the way to Men in Black, you could find on Netflix, all for the low price of $9.99 with no adverts and unlimited streaming.
Starting at only $9.99 a month, no late fees.
At the time, most people would buy physical copies of movies and shows, or watch cable, which was more expensive and riddled with adverts, so this was a huge game changer. Every company wanted a slice of the hot new wave of streaming services rushing to get their shows and IPs on Netflix. However, this started to change when companies realized something.
We could make more money creating our own streaming service with our own IPs than using Netflix.
This was the start of what's now known as the Great Streaming Divide in 2008, when Hulu was founded by NBC Universal and Fox. Shows such as The Office, Family Guy, and SNL were all taken off Netflix and put on Hulu. However, the kicker was, Hulu was free. At the time, this new streaming service coming into the market wasn't seen as that sinister by the public, with little to no backlash. There was only two major streaming services available, both for a low price and still cheaper than cable, and the freedom to watch whatever, whenever, with Hulu starting to offer even more content. But for the businesses, this wasn't enough for them. Amazon Prime launched in 2011 with a giant budget, ready to buy licensing to many IPs that were previously on Netflix. Studios really liked this high-budget format that Netflix would not offer. They needed to budget in preparation for their launch of one of their most successful projects to this day, called Netflix Originals in 2013, starting with House of Cards. This was in response to Amazon offering higher bids when the studio deals with Netflix would expire. They realized that if they wanted to stay afloat, they needed to create their own IPs. After 2017, streaming services started dominating the entertainment industry and became mainstream worldwide. Everyone was streaming. Even your grandma had heard of the new craze at this point. You probably even shared an account with her. During Netflix's prime, they would almost endorse the concept of sharing accounts, as they had such a huge monopoly on the market, being the first one there. In March 2017, they tweeted, "Love is sharing a password." At the time, streaming services were so loved. Netflix's focus was brand trust and keeping their monopoly on the market. This would put the company in people's good books. In 2020, the floodgates officially opened and every company wanted a share in the streaming market. Disney+, Paramount+, HBO Max, Peacock, and many more had all launched, each with their own shows, making Netflix's catalogue much smaller. 50% of Netflix's total catalogue was Netflix Originals, some of which were generally regarded as good, high-budget shows like Stranger Things. However, others are cheap slop filler such as Big Mouth. This was to avoid them having to purchase other studios' IPs that people actually wanted to watch. So streaming services themselves were costing us more, but having worse content and less of it. Everyone realized this and hates this part about streaming services. It's the #1 reason for everyone's frustration, causing people to pirate movies and shows they wanted to watch. People didn't stop watching or consuming media. They just stopped paying and wanted higher quality content. This is what these companies didn't realize. Previously in the 2010s, it was reported that Netflix produced Piracy. You'd have one subscription that had everything. No ads, high quality media with an easy interface. People didn't mind paying a small fee to not have to use piracy services riddled with adverts in low quality. However, in 2025, piracy is on the rise again. Today, piracy doesn't sound that bad anymore. as there's so many services costing more than traditional cable TV, the thing that streaming swore to replace. The closest comparison to this is in the music streaming industry. You used to individually purchase albums and songs when they released. However, now you can get any song at your fingertips in a matter of seconds on Spotify. It was clear, the movie companies no longer have you and I, the consumer's interest in mind anymore. Even if you're paying for streaming now, you're not safe from adverts. Many of the streaming platforms all charge a fee and will still show you adverts despite the fact you pay for a subscription. Everyone's favourite shows are either being wiped out of existence or locked behind a paywall. HBO removed a total of 87 shows and movies from its platform. Not because people weren't watching, but purely to cut running costs. Entire series like Westworld and Infinity Train disappeared overnight with no warning. Here's a visualization of streaming services available in 2007 versus today. The catalogue has hardly changed, but the ease of access has. Why would anyone pay so much more for the same thing we used to get for free? The number of streaming services has greatly increased, but users and demand hasn't. Today, most people will own 1 to 2 streaming services and pirate everything else. It just doesn't make logical sense to do otherwise, forcing us into a wall. Netflix reported their first loss of users in 2022 by 200,000 subscriptions cancelled. As a result of this, Netflix cut down on password sharing and no longer endorses it in 2022.
Netflix rolling out its long-awaited crackdown on password sharing. It's now banned unless you pay more.
Users who were sharing accounts would see this notice when they tried to log into their Netflix account. History repeats itself. The things people originally disliked about cable TV, adverts, high prices, are now what streaming services are. In the end, nobody really won the streaming war. When convenience dies, piracy thrives. It's a sad truth to see these companies choose greed and monetary gain on an individualistic level, as opposed to the great all-in-one place streaming used to be for us, the consumers.